Game daw si Eric. Sunod daw si Eric.
Oo nga. Yes. Sige, start na natin. Tapos, let me get the link. Sige, Friday, hindi kami nakapag-vlog na naman ni Orion.
Ah, wala ba?
Wala kami, hindi kami nakapag-vlog ni Orion ng Friday. Alam ko, daming gustong sabihin nun. Dapat Saturday, kaso wala. Preoccupied. Private chat. Sending link. Wala. Yun. Wild. Tapos medyo nag-escalate rin yung yung between Velasco and Cayetano. World War sila ngayon eh.
Hindi na ako
World War. Hindi ka na nag-check?
Nakakahiya eh.
Yun lang. Ay, nako. Okay. Pwede na. Pwede na to. Pwede na. Let's do this. Hello guys. Welcome to Istoryang Futbolero. My name's Ron Poblete. And I'm with Miguel Perez of Anti-Hands. And joining us tonight, Mr. Insurance Man, Eric Madrazo.
Let's go Spurs!
Shut up. Lang yung Eric to, buong araw inalaska ako sa Bible.
Hindi naman buong araw.
Ay, di ba? Pero last thing yung sinasabi na, nakakasakit ka bro. Yung mga balat ko, sarcastic eh.
Eric, ang bilis ng karma, no?
Grabe talaga. Digital na yung karma ngayon.
Shut up.
One click lang, nandun na kaagad.
Anyway guys, yung mga nagtataka ko, ano yung pinapag-usapan namin, kasi Istoryang Futbolero, pinapag-usapan namin football. Kung meron kayong kaalaman sa Premier League, ito yung parang PBA ng football sa England. Ay nako, yung aking team Liverpool medyo nalampaso kagabi. Kaninang umaga pala.
Hindi medyo. Todo lampaso.
Todo lampaso. Nakakainis kasi doon. Alam mo yung nagpuyat ka? Tapos butya, ibang klase talagang yung alam mo yung ano to. Naginip ba ako? 7-2 yung score. Sa football, kung sa basketball pa yan, parang 160. Ganun yung score. Anyway, by the way, yung Liverpool po yung team na sinasabi ko is they're the defending champions ng Premier League sa England. Kasi itong Aston Villa, parang ano yan eh. Ano pang pinakabano na team sa PBA?
Ano ba? Ewan ko.
Parang yung mga yung mga tipong, Mikel? Yung mga saling pusa lang, mga...
Blackwater.
Blackwater, mga ganun.
No offense to Blackwater.
Grabe, wild bro. Kaya
sponsor pa naman ng Blackwater sa ano.
Ganun ba? Willing ako. Mabango yan. Mabango ang Blackwater.
Kaya yung mga Viber group, yung meron akong Liverpool na messenger group na sinalian bago lang. Grabe yung mga messages talagang, ay nako, parang nalugi ang negosyo.
Okay, Ron, you take the highs with the lows, all that. It's all part of
ano ba
talaga.
Sanay kami sa lows.
Sanay ka sa lows.
Yung sabi ko kay Ron kanina, Eric, bago tayo mag-start welcome to the world of Arsenal.
Pero Arsenal just won a game against ano yung game nila recently? Newcastle ba?
Hindi.
Yesterday, the other day, we played Sheffield United.
Sheffield.
Tama.
2-1.
So, 3 wins, 1 loss pa lang kami sa league. So,
nice.
Tapos natalo Lakers kanina.
Walang happy tayo talo.
Alam mo na yung talo.
So, napagsabihan ng NBA na kailangan di sweep kasi may ratings. Kawawa naman pagka-sweep wala manonood.
Oo nga.
Bagay. Okay, anyway, so kaya kanina nung natalo yung Liverpool, medyo napuyat ako, tapos masama loob ko, yung di ako makatulog dahil sa sama ng loob. Tapos nagising ako, tapos kailangan ko pumunta ng Naik Cavite para asikasuhin papeles ng pamilya. So medyo meron alam mo, isang tao talaga paminsan meron tayong masochistic tendencies, no? Kasi the whole time dapat kasi hindi ka nagbabasa na ng mga website about your football team, pero ako I found myself still reading the bad news, all the bad press and the bad comments coming from the supporters. Para sila, ba't bang ginagawa ko, tinutorture ko sarili ko, binabasa ito lahat. So ganun lang siguro ang feeling ng mga dilawan ngayon kasi
Grabe.
Ron. Grabe na segue.
Pati ba naman yung dilawan na nasabit sa Liverpool bad trip mo?
Hindi kasi, di ba, confident nila na sigurado babagsak na yung ratings ng presidente, ng administration. Palpak kasi, walang ginawang tama ngayong pandemic. O, di ba? Ganun ang kanilang assumption nila, wala na to. Kaya si Vice President, ilabas na yan. Padaldalin, magsalita siya para kunyari siya bida. Siya yung maraming sinasabing may sense, 'di ba? Yun, naglabas po ang Pulse Asia ng bagong survey. It was conducted September 15 to 20 ba yun, Mikel? Parang gano'n, no? Sure. That was last month. And guess what? Kung ano yung rating ni President Duterte noong 2016, nung bago pa siya nahalal, ay ganun rin yung kanyang ratings ngayon during the pandemic, which is 91%. Hayop! Ibang klase talaga si PRRD. So ang taas ng kanyang ratings na ngayon itong mga woke sa Twitter nagmamaktol. At yung mga kanilang troll, labasan sa lahat ng mga news websites and Facebook pages, nagko-comment doon, wala, ano yan? Rig yan. Ano yan? Fake, Pulse, Fake Asia or Pulse, Fake Asia ba? Anong tawag nila doon? Parang ganun sinasabi daw na bayad daw yung survey na yun. So ayaw nila maniwala na ang presidente ay 91% pa rin yung kanyang ratings. So hindi makamove on talaga yung kabila. At sila ay talagang asar na asar ngayon. Ngayon ganun ang pakiramdam ganun ang pakiramdam ng mga natalo sa kanilang mga respective favorite teams sa NBA at saka sa
Cliffy, may sinasabi si Cliffy.
Sabi ni Cliffy.
Segue agad from Liverpool to Dilawan.
Ganun talaga. Alam mo naman yung mga yan going to be sore losers. Meron pa ngang mga nilabas si Hidarian si Javad.
Nakita ko yun.
Bro, may comment dito. Hindi ko makita na Facebook user. Mike Arroyo, Ian Veneracion, Mark Agiwa daw tayo.
Ano sabi?
Okay, Mike Arroyo, yung isa sa atin, isa Ian Veneracion, isa I take it, ako si Ian Veneracion. Thank you very much. I'll take that any day. Si Eric ata si Mark Agiwa, si Ron si Mike Arroyo.
Hindi yan, not the first time I heard that. Medyo
talaga, stiga. Oo nga, no?
Loko. Raulo. Anyway, hi to Lawrence Chua, tapos si Ronan Dayot, Joey Eliazar, and we have a few people from another group, kaya Facebook user lang na nakalagay. Hindi po sila mga troll. Mga totoong tao po yan, kaso lang hindi lumalabas sa aming sa ginagamit naming platform dahil ini-import niya yung mga messages coming from another group that's linked to this. Nielsen Obligar is also listening. Okay, mukhang nasa North America siya ngayon. Ano po ang mga team niyo dito sa North America?
MLS.
Team sa North America ba? Tapos,
MLS,
agad, my favorite show daw, sabi niya. Sabi ni Cliff, segue agad From Liverpool to Dilawan. Yun pala yun. Sabi ni another Facebook user, tanggapin ang pagkatalo ng LA, huwag masyadong galingan.
Tama.
By the way, bakit ba JJJ yan ang spelling? Napansin ko sa mga Koreano. Spanish. Bakit yung mga Koreano ganun rin, JJJ? Pag may mga
talaga hindi ko alam.
Mga Koreano,
JJ na rin sila.
JJJ. Okay. Tapos sabi ni another Facebook user says, alam na namin galawan ng mga Dilawan. Hindi na uubra style nila. Tapos sabi ni Lily Tagad, talagang ibang klase. Duterte namin, tatak Davao yan. Ayun, taga Davao yata si Lilit. Ito si Facebook user na sinasabi mo, Mikel. Mike Arroyo, loko to Tapos si Bernard Pangilinan.
I'm deeply flattered, thank you.
Tapos si Bernard Pangilinan, si False Asia. Yon, False Asia pala yung kanilang term sa Pulse Asia. Tapos senior citizen watching from Japan. Konbawa po sa inyo. Ayun.
Wow, grabe.
Arigato.
Meron pa dyan, from Singapore also, Garnet Red. Grabe, international fans. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Salamat sa pagkinig. And we will definitely acknowledge all the listeners and viewers coming from the other group. So yun, Pulse Asia, ano po yung ibig sabihin nun? Kasi gusto namin pag-usapan, bakit ba biglang lumabas yung survey? Hindi ganito po. Let's explain first, Eric, Mikel, no? Kasi syempre nag-statistics naman tayo nung college. Para lang sa kaalaman ng iba, hindi porket, let's say, ang respondents mo 1,600 people or 2,000 people lang ang nag-respond dun sa survey, meron pong science doon. Kaya may tinatawag na sample data, di ba? Tama ba, Mikel? Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, di ba? It's kasi sinasabi nila, sinurvey lang yun, 2,000 people, tapos meron ka marinig na comments ng iba. Hindi naman ako na-survey Saan yung survey na yan? May nagtanong ba sa akin? May mga ganun pong mga comment yung mga Dilawan. Wala naman na ganun. Hindi naman umabot sa amin yung survey na yan Mga ganun. Para sa kaalaman po ng mga tao, may science po yung statistics. Hindi porket 2,000 people lang yung sinurvey, hindi po yung representative of the population. At meron po yung tamang pagpili ng mga respondents. And most likely, Pulse Asia and the SWS, they were able to set this up already. They have certain people that they are paying to take part in these surveys. Tama ba, Eric? Mikel? And they do this randomly also, and they have certain areas that they pick from. And this is based on demographic, based on sex, based on location. May mga ganun po yun. Tapos merong mathematical formula yan for statistics. Kaya nga sinasabi nila, merong di ba? May tinatawag na mga variance, Mikel, na may margin for error plus minus say 3%, 2%, and most of the time yung margin of error pumapalo doon sa within the percentage points na dinedefine nila sa survey. Correct. So pag nag-survey po yung Pulse Asia or SWS, more or less approximate pero within a very medyo close to accurate po yan kung pulso po ng bayan ng pinapag-usapan. Although syempre na-influence rin po yan ng ibang tao dahil kaya nga mapapansin niyo karamihan po ng mga ibang elemento diyan na who are PR people or PR companies who are hired by certain sectors in society, if they want to sway public opinion, they come out with negative material or content on social media. Kaya mapapansin ninyo na very organized po yung opposition when it comes to coming out with with their interviews. Tapos talagang madalas yan na makikita mo sabay-sabay silang ini-interview ng media. Tapos the same yung messaging nila. Bakit gusto nila i-influence po yung opinion ng tao? And if people see or parang observe na parang parating pinapalabas sa media, feeling nila tama o totoo siguro yung sinasabi ng mga tao na to kasi parating kong naririnig. That's how public opinion is formed. Unfortunately for them, kahit na sobrang gastos, ginagastos nila yung demolition job against the president or the government, naglabas ang Pulse Asia, 91% pa rin si presidente, parang na-demolish. Mas makikita mo si Robredo, 50%. Kumbaga, bagsak sa bagsak. Kung ang pasado ay 75%, ang layo po ng niya. Yung score niya sa pasado, 75% yung pasado. Medyo mas malayo pa nga yung kanyang yung rating niya kay Alan Peter Cayetano, kay Speaker. Si Speaker 70%, si Senator Tito Soto nasa 80% ba or 85%, tapos si Presidente 91%. So yun ang tapos nag-spin kaagad sila si Barry Gutierrez, yung PR person ni yung di ba ni Vice President, nagsalita kaagad, nag-comment na kaagad sinabi nila at dito natin may kita na marami pa rin naniniwala kay Vice President. Yung 50% naging half glass, kumbaga half full yung glass nila, yung kanilang baso.
What he was saying was that the Vice President was working silently. With the limited budget that she has, she's been doing a lot na daw. Mga ganon.
Lang yan. Ayun. So ganun talaga yung ganun yung pinapag-usapan ngayon. And it's all over. I think for the next news cycle, which is usually a week, yan po ang papag-usapan at expect the other side will try to downplay the ratings of the president, and they'll make it appear that this was paid for by the government propaganda machine at wala, sinet up lang yan to make, para lang ma-distract ang mga tao dahil unpopular nitong gobyerno na to dahil daming kapalpakan. Ang aking take on that, if we were to take away the politics, I feel, kasi as part of as someone who's also helping the government fulfill its mandate, ang naisip ko, talaga namang sobra namang grabe magtrabaho itong gobyerno na ito, lalong-lalo ngayong pandemic. I've seen it myself how yung mga sleepless nights ng mga tao sa DILG, yung mga tao sa DSWD, sa DOH, talagang 24/7 po sila nagtatrabaho para lang magampanan yung kanilang mga trabaho. At kahit na po binabati ko sila nitong 3% na to, na walang sawang nagbinabanatan sila sa social media, sa mainstream media, ay ginagawa pa rin nila yung kanilang trabaho. At I think kaya 91% ang ratings ni Presidente dahil nararamdaman talaga ng karamihan ng ating mga mamamayan na ginagawa talaga ng gobyerno ang kanilang trabaho. Mikael, anong mo dito? What's your take on this survey? And I know you'd have a balance, perspective on this issue, on this topic. Kasi, like you said, we're trying to promote a non-partisan involvement in government. Na hindi dapat shouldn't be you as being a supporter, a DDS or a Dilawan. You should be a supporter of the country or the Philippines. Hindi dapat partisan. Ikaw, anong impression mo sa...
ako kasi with surveys, normally, I'm not really a huge fan or a believer in a survey, because there's so many things. There's margins for error. Again, there's you can always kasi question yung survey, ang sa akin lang kasi, for me, the best survey always really is the election, which comes regularly because that really tells you what the people want, who they really vote for, and then obviously when you talk to people in your area, employees, colleagues, family, ask them how they feel, you get a representation na rin. And a lot of times, really, in fairness, when I asked our team members, they agreed. Parang they're happier with this administration than in previous, for whatever reason. Ang sa akin, ang issue ko with surveys, is if the survey came out today and it said it was 19%, for sure, nobody would question it from the other side. So, perfect yung survey na yan. Pulse Asia, fantastic, good job. 19% lang si Duterte. But because the rating was not favorable to them, obviously they have to question it and throw, like yung aking best friend si Hey Darian today, ang comment niya
Ano sabi
on
niya?
Twitter. Let's give it to him. Tatay is the master of performative governance. Kaya kahit 101% approval, no surprise. Tapos madami pa siyang hirit na something about the DDS na he's not surprised, kumbaga. Parang
He
yung
took the high road pa, di
insinuation.
ba? He
Yeah,
took the
well,
high
yung
road.
insinuation is that we're a bit bobo, or whoever it is voted for Duterte's bobo anyway. So no matter what Duterte does, it's a failure, no?
No,
Which for me is disrespectful, really, because if the tables were turned, I don't think they would be questioning the survey or whatever. It's just ano lang naman. The thing with President Duterte, again, I'm not a super pro DDS or whatever, no, is consistently since he took over, yung ratings niya mataas, 'di ba? He's always, in how many years, halos patapos na yung term niya in a year and a half. His ratings are always fairly good. Probably one of the
bihira
most
bumaba
popular.
yun. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if ever goes down super little, it's still very high compared to other previous presidents. And in this day and age of digital information and all of that, dapat mas ano yan eh, tawag dito, fickle yan. Kasi, alam mo yun, every headline, dapat magbago yung opinion ng mga tao. But for some reason, they're really die hard, no? And a lot of times, they compare, di ba, si Duterte to President Trump. Sabi na sa States, ganyan-ganyan. But iba yung comparison kasi sa popularity doon sa States, Trump is only popular with a certain section of the, even the election when he won, di ba? Because of yung electoral college system nila. Hindi naman siya nanalo by the most votes. It's just the way the electoral college works in the US. Whereas here in the Philippines, for the reasons that we is President Duterte won by a landslide. And he has continued to share the approval of the people so far. But obviously, there's one section of the population na sobrang galit pa rin sa kanya kahit anong gawin niya, no matter what he does. Like we say here before, he could give them each 1 million pesos today, bad trip pa rin sila. Because that's not the guy they voted for. He doesn't represent what they represent. So it will always be the case. So expect nyo na yan, mag-iingay yung mga yan kasi hindi sila nanalo. No? I mean, the survey was not in their favor today. And the biggest factor kasi they were waiting for is, even Rappler quoted it today, that they were expecting the survey ratings to be lower because of Duterte's alleged mishandling of the COVID pandemic.
Kaya nga, they're trying to frame the narrative that they want to talagang condition the minds of their viewers, their readers, na this administration is not doing well in handling COVID-19. So kahit na it reflects that the president is very popular, it doesn't take away the fact that they're mishandling the pandemic. So kumbaga hindi pa rin kami talo. Kailangan pa rin pa rin stress pa rin yung point na yon. Like for example, ito nga I'm showing this, I'm sharing a post by si Attorney Trixie Angeles and tsaka si Attorney Amin Paglinawan. They have a blog called Luminous. Sabi dito ni Barry Gutierrez, tama naman. Kaya mga karamihan na rin ng ating mga kababayan, suportado pa rin si VP Lenny. That's why majority of our countrymen are still supportive of VP Lenny. Hindi ko alam kung paano nila yung definition ba ng majority. Tapos sabi dito, malinaw kasi na kahit katiting ang budget ng opisina, patuloy ang panlalait at paninira at panay ang pagpakalat ng fake news sa Facebook laban sa kanya. Nagtatrabaho pa din siya para sa kapakanan ng marami, he added. Oh. Anyway, so what I'm saying here is, yes,
siguro
Eric.
Kaya siguro niya nasabi na karamihan is because it's more than 50%. Nasa 57% approval rating.
It's no different from when they say it, Eric, na the country is so divided. How can a country be so divided if they're only 3%? And the ones who are supporters of the administration are around 91%. So paano naging divided yun?
I mean, look at this,
sabi
diba?
Nila,
So
ang divided yung may opinion kay VP Lenny. Kasi yun 50%, 50%. Diba?
Oh. So there are, kunwari, 91%. Is it, for example, all these people were rated by one person lang, di ba? Like, for example, ako, kung binigyan ako ng survey form, lahat yan i-rate ko, di ba? Or ibang rating. Kunyari ako, I only rate Lenny, tapos Mikel only rates Duterte. Ganun ba yun? Or is this Pulse Asia survey lahat ng mga tao, lahat ng mga official? At paano ba yung mangyari? Kasi if ano, if
Siguro Eric, meron yan silang listahan. Sino yung which of these names, which of these uh
uh,
who of which among these national leaders do you trust? Siguro ganun yun.
okay,
Tapos
sige,
ano yung
ganito
lista, tapos i-check nila si President Duterte, ganyan. Yung mga walang mark, so i-count nila lahat ng mga kumbaga votes to as feedback. So siguro 5 out of 10 people said they trust Lenny, tapos 9 out of 10 say they trust the president. Ganun siguro, ganun ang I think ang pag ganun nun. Pag
so
workout or yung kailang questionnaire o yung
right,
siguro one question lang yun that they ask their respondents.
okay. So ito kasi, so 91% si PRRD, tapos 57% si VP. That's a difference of 34. So out of so many people, there's 34% lang na para sa akin is divided, na gusto kay Duterte, ayaw kay Lenny, or gusto kay Lenny or tapos ayaw kay Duterte. Ibig sabihin, I think dito sa 91% na yan, there are people there that also trusted VP Lenny. Tama ba ako?
Perhaps.
Analogy ko?
Well, you can be naman, bear in mind kasi one is president, one's vice president. You could be trusting of both. No, you don't have to hate both.
Exactly.
You don't have to like both. There
Yeah.
are people out there who can't stand both of them. So
Yeah.
those are the things with the surveys.
Tsaka
But
you have
go
to
ahead,
remember there's a part there where it indicates the awareness of the person who is responding to the survey, yung awareness nila of the names that are being kagaya ni Chief Justice 40+% lang yung awareness niya pero the rest are 100%. So people know of course Tito Soto, they know of Alan Peter Cayetano, Lenny Robredo, and of course our president. Pero si Chief Justice hindi siya kilala. So siya obviously kaya hindi siya kilala, mababa yung kanyang trust rating. Pero yung iba 100%. So of all the people who are aware of these politicians, 50% lang ang talagang who trust Lenny. But tama ka, Eric, we can also surmise that even the ones who trust who trust the president, a large chunk of those also trust si Lenny Robredo. So that
yeah.
So,
and you have to remember with this. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
And so going back, no, I think there is itong sinasabi nating divide. I don't think it's very apparent in this survey. Kasi there are a lot of people also that are okay with both. 'Di ba? Hindi extremes. There are some people that are extremes, no? Ayaw kay Lenny, gusto kay Duterte, or the other way around. Pero hindi naman lahat. So I'm not really sure. So medyo medyo mixed bag siya for me. And I think that's a good sign because dito natin nakikita na hindi talaga completely divided ang country. Meron lang mga extremes.
meron lang yung maiingay talaga.
Yeah, like on both sides, right?
Social media can act like a megaphone kasi, a huge megaphone for certain people. Lalong-lalo na. Gaya na sabi ko sa'yo, I think I posted this on our Viber group. Imagine if we were to do the math and there were 60 million eligible voters. And then if indeed we were to follow the numbers of the Pulse Asia survey, 3% only despises or disapproves of the president. 3%. Kahit pa paano, 3% is still a substantial number. 3% of 60 million is still 3 million people. Tama ba? Is my math correct? It's still 3 million. Wait a minute. 5% ang 3 million people, by the way. So if it's 3% lang, that's a lot less. So parang
60
mga... Wait
times 3%, 1.8.
Ayun, 1.8 million are talagang no. Are talagang solid, hindi gusto si Presidente. 1.8 million. Okay? Now, imagine if, let's just say, 50,000 people are active on social media. 50,000 people are active on social media who will regurgitate what let's say a PR company does for the opposition. Na ito ang ating narrative, itong sasabihin natin. Ano to, incompetent tong gobyerno na to. Lahat yung, let's say 50,000 na active sa social media, yan lang sasabihin sa Twitter. Tapos gagawa sila ng, let's say, parang gawa tayo ng yung survey na ginagawa sa social media, Eric?
Polls?
Hindi, meron silang yung parang poll, Mikel, na you receive via email. Tapos
Survey Monkey?
Yeah, I know Survey Monkey, but there's another one. Damn. Yeah, parang
I never answer any of those. So
they post the link on Facebook. Tapos kung if you want to support that, parang siya, anyway, let's just say 50,000 of those people vote against the president. It would appear like, wow, there's so many people. 50,000 is still 50,000 people. That's about 3/4 of or the entire Araneta Coliseum, or maybe twice the Araneta Coliseum, the capacity of Araneta Coliseum. Di ba? Marami yun. Marami pa rin yung tao na yun. Tapos kung sabay-sabay sila magko-comment sa social media, it's gonna appear like, wow, there's so many people who don't like the president. And even those who are part of that group, they will feel like, impossible. 91% ang suporta ni Presidente. And dami-dami natin. Hindi siguro totoo yan. Fake yan, false news yan. Kaya ganoon, meron silang false notion or belief that there's marami sila kasi they live in a bubble. Meron silang echo chamber na naririnig lang nilang opinion are those of their friends and people who are like-minded, who are the same as their kumbaga the same sa kanilang iniisip na ideas or disagreement towards the administration. So I think that's like,
wouldn't that be unfair? For example, 1.8 million. Sabihin lang natin yun yung number.
Ayun, change.org pala, Rick. Mikel, tama.
Change.org.
Yun.
Change.org. Tawag nito. Ano yung sasabihin ko? Wouldn't that be unfair that the 1.8 million, the voices of the 1.8 million would be heard rather than the true majority? Na tahimik lang, na satisfied, nagtatrabaho, going along with their lives, no? Tapos bigla na lang ang papakinggan is yung 1.8 million. Wouldn't that be unfair to the people that were satisfied? Di ba?
Hindi. Tanong dyan, Rick, do you think, ito lang tanong ko lang yung nangyari sa EDSA, yung first EDSA, hindi kaya minority lang rin yun?
I truly believe that it was the minority also.
Who made that change for everyone? Now, even the ones, if we ask the provinces, the people from the provinces, did you actually actively participate in the EDSA revolution? Did you support that movement? Sa tingin ko if umikot tayo yung mga older generation na sa mga probinsya, siguro sila passive rin sila, no? So ibig sabihin, konti lang rin tong mga tao na to who are clamoring for change. What do you think, Miguel?
Well, I was just looking at the specifics kasi of the survey, no? So like Duterte was, bear in mind, it's not a popularity survey. It was a trust survey. They were asked, do you trust President Duterte? 91% said yes. 6% undecided and 3%. What's crucial here is yung kay Lenny, 28% were undecided and 22% said they didn't trust her. And if you look at kasi mga YouTube videos ni Lenny, di ba, lately she's come up all these speeches and ganyan. In the YouTube videos, on her own page, there are more dislikes than likes.
Yeah. Even on Rappler, you have to take note, even on Rappler.
Yeah. So, I mean, the argument is that she's being trolled or, but for me, it's very hard to get away with the argument that the other side, so the Duterte supporters are the trolls because they're the ones who are a lot. They're the ones who don't need to do it. And you read the comments, it's really all there. Even just on our show, you can see it, no? But for me, like the survey is good. It's a trust rating, hopefully. But I don't want the government to look at this and say, okay na tayo. We're doing a good job, because far from it, the job is not yet over. There's still a lot that needs to be fixed. Just disregard the noise from the other side, because it's always going to be there. Just do your job and move on. But wag tayo maging mayabang, say, oh, wala na, it's okay, the trust, because there's still a lot of mistrust in government. You for sure, mag-ikot-ikot ka dyan, you talk to people, they'll still say they don't trust a lot of people in the government. Dahil pa rin mga issues and whatnot, no? But may comment din si Harry Roque yata today, because Harry Roque he was saying na it's proof that politicizing yung issue ng COVID is not going to work. Kasi yun yung naging parang strategy, di ba? Politikahin natin to, let's show na hindi niya kaya yung COVID, therefore he's a horrible president, ganyan-ganyan. But then somehow it has backfired, because for whatever reason, sobrang gutom na ng mga tao, or they're out of jobs now, there's so much uncertainty in the market, but they're still saying they trust the guy. And they probably would still vote for him if he were to run. I mean, I know he's not going to run. Baka lang magwala na naman yung kabilang side. Hindi na tatakbo. But if you're saying na kung magka-election today, I'm pretty sure mananalo pa rin yan, no? So, suggestion lang doon sa kabilang side, intindihin na lang bakit sila sinusuportahan ng ganyang karaming tao. But huwag nyo naman sabihin na yung mga tao yan, yung mga bobo lahat, walang education or whatnot, no? In terms of the other thing about the people power in 86, I don't know also, because it could have been a small people who just acted as catalyst. No, it doesn't mean that they were the only ones who thought about it. Baka most people kasi niisip nila, oh, wala naman tayong magagawa. Ilang dekada na dito si Marcos, wala tayong magawa, no? But there may have been some people with support from obviously a foreign government, the CIA or whatever, because let's face it, kung kayo lang yan, ilan lang tao, di mangyayari yan. You have to have foreign intervention. That's what they do. If you watch all the movies,
Miguel,
diba?
They're saying, Miguel, di ba, remember, nag-attempt ng magkaroon ng EDSA 3? Kasi when they toppled Joseph Estrada, yung supporters ni Joseph Estrada went to EDSA. And actually, that was more people than the EDSA 2 people who came to the EDSA shrine. If you look at the, ito talaga mga mahihirap talaga to, as in, pumunta ng EDSA, talagang pinuno nila yung EDSA, pero that didn't work because...
Depende din kasi kung anong gusto ni Amerika. Gusto ng powers that be. Tapos mali mo, dito si Jason Bourne, si James Bond, dahil mga foreign influencers dito, hindi mo alam.
Sabi ni Joy Alazar, yung sa EDSA, my friends went there for fun. Kasi daming tao at masaya raw. Not really because of politics. I did not go there because di ko feel si Cory.
Oh.
Yun. Oo nga, iba dyan kasi mga bandwagon lang eh. Dahil, andun lahat, mga kaibigan ko nandun sa EDSA eh. Punta tayo dun. I remember ako yung experience ko, Eric, Mikel, I don't know where you were.
6 years old lang ako nun, bro.
Remember EDSA 2? We were in Katipunan.
EDSA 2, wala. Iba.
We were in Katipunan. Grabe ko naman.
Anong year yung EDSA 2? Hindi ko maalala yung EDSA 2.
EDSA 2 was 2000 yata or 2001. Mga ganun.
2001, nandito na ako.
Oo. Tapos malala ko noon, kasama ko si Carlos Alba, taga Davao rin eh. Nandun kami sa Katipunan, parang we were having dinner at Guda after nag-Counter-Strike yata kami. Anyway, tapos bigla na lang, sa Katipunan, nagbubusina mga tao. Lahat nagbubusina, dumadaan. Sabi lang, yan ang nangyayari. Tapos parang everybody was like going somewhere. And then we just followed the crowd. We ended up going to EDSA Shrine. And then it was kind of spontaneous. I don't know what it was, but it felt like it was spontaneous. And then we ended up being there with the rest of these people. Parang rock concert eh. And then you knew that something's going on. And the problem is, yes, that caused for, it drove Joseph Estrada out of Malacanang. But yung may marami pang behind the scenes na nangyari dyan eh. Actually, meron rin kinalaman dyan yung mga tao who are supposed to be supporters of Joseph Estrada, who all of a sudden left him high and dry. So may
Always
mga
naman yan, no? Ron, we have to remember with anything in politics, in our ideal world kasi sa vision natin, feeling natin, we can change it. Magalit lang tayo, it will change, no? But there are powers behind the scenes that you don't understand
yes,
how they work, no? Because you have to understand, President Marcos, if totoo yung ginawa niya na he was so horrible for how many years? Ilan decades yun na he was horrible? Other people allowed that to happen because it was in their benefit. Other countries allowed it to happen, pero nung hindi na sa kanila beneficial, papasok na sila. Tama na to, immoral na, masyado naman, and then all of a sudden there's a high road, no? But it's just that there's always an outside influence here. There's people pulling the strings behind the scenes, no? But
that's so
syempre,
true.
in our ideal world, we think it's all us just making the difference. No,
And
even
and
now in Facebook, people are telling you how to think.
Hindi
Hindi yan by
understand the
magic.
psychology of it all, So the psychology of it all, the mass psychology of it all, Mikel. They understand that if you say certain things, it will sort of like, it will make people think about things. It will, rise them up. Kaso lang, now kasi, karamihan sa mga tao kasi sawang-sawa na kasi sa ganyan eh. So, alam na nila yung mga...
Actually.
Kasi first of all, 2 beses na yung EDSA na yan. EDSA 1, it brought about a promise of a new day, di ba? Parang, uy, tapos na martial law, tapos na yung corruption, tapos na yung mga maraming di ba? Mga cronies pa yung pinapag-usapan at that time na yung mga nakinabang lang sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas are the ones closest to the Marcoses. Tapos bigla na lang we were lifted out of that, naging hero si Benigno Aquino and then si Cory, and we became proud of her kasi she even had the chance to speak to the US Congress. Parang wow, it's a proud moment for the Philippines kasi biglang we became world renowned for having a first female president, diba? Talaga tayo, we were proud. But hindi sa kalaman ng mga tao, she was I'm sorry, but I think she was the worst president we've ever had. It brought the country to our knees. I mean, she refused to listen to advice, and the only people that she listened to were just a few people now who have an agenda. Tapos, di ba, she even sued, is this Cito Beltran? Remember that, that newspaper man who said that she hid under her bed?
Yeah.
And then she sued her for libel. So, may mga ganun klase sa mga galawan. And funny thing is, even si Noynoy Aquino had the same tact. Medyo stubborn din, hard, refuses to listen to people. He has his own. So may mga ganun klase mga and yung pinaka-glaring, what's that noise ko? The pinaka-glaring thing that's been going on, that you can really say na a testament to Louis Beltran. Thank you, Aquino Lorenzo. Si Louis Beltran pala. He is the guy. Is the newsman.
Fletch din nauna nag-comment yun. Fletch Durante.
30 years since the EDSA revolution, nothing has really, improved the lives of majority of the Filipinos. It was a promise that, it will lift us from poverty. It will improve our country. But what happened there is nagkaroon a different set of cronies. Different people, another set of interest groups benefited from that kumbaga benefited from that new power kumbaga power access or whatever you call it, no?
Yeah.
So ngayon nagkaroon ng EDSA 2 kasi pumasok si ERAP, tapos alala niyo yung mga eruption jokes na lumabas. Talagang inunti-unti nila para i-diminish yung credibility ni ERAP hanggang umabot sa point na nachichismis yung mga midnight cabinet niya, tapos very glaring na yung kanyang incompetency at nagkaroon na ng EDSA 2. Tapos nagkaroon ng EDSA 2, natanggal si ERAP. What happened? Si GMA pumalit. Nagbago ba? Hindi. Hindi pa rin nagbago. Tapos pumasok si Pinoy, promising change. Nanalo siya dahil namatay si Cory. Dahil si Cory represents, it's a promise or revolution. Tapos meron pa rin, kumbaga, may political capital pa rin yun. Anong nangyari during the time of Pinoy? Why did President Duterte win? Because people are sick and tired of the same old promises.
Well,
30
but
years, diba?
I will make Lawrence happy because I will say na kahit ilang people power ang mangyari dyan, nothing will change unless you change the system. Yan yung mangyayari. And that's why I understand the clamor for the system change from people like Lawrence and others because we can always change the personality in charge. Pero kung ganun pa rin yung sistema, kahit the best will in the world, nahihirapan pa rin, di ba? So people power won't change it. You're just gonna change the leader and his cronies and whatnot. Although granted, itong admin is more popular, they're doing a lot of good things, but madami pa rin kailangan baguhin dyan. There's so much, even President Duterte, di ba? He came out last week, sabi niya, dahil sa corruption, gusto niya mag-resign, hindi niya maayos-ayos. So one of the best ways to do that for me kasi nga na-try na natin lahat. Na-try na natin ang iba-ibang presidente, lalaki, babae, kung sino-sino na na-try natin. Ganun pa rin nangyayari sa atin, 'di ba? So I think it's about time that we try to change the system and see where that takes us.
So
Uy, happy si Lawrence. Hey, hell yes, Lawrence.
yeah, kaya nga meron tayong mga friends from Correct Movement who are pushing for constitutional reform because they feel that the system is broken. And the people, kaya nga nare-recycle lang itong mga types of politicians na to every time. They take a different form every time, every election. Parang they're latching on somebody popular. This time it's President Duterte. He's the most popular guy. And that's why majority of the congressmen now are PDP Laban, are part of the supermajority because we have a very popular president because they want to be part of the source of, they want to be under the umbrella of where the source of power is. Kaya yun ang sad thing about the political system right now kasi it's all about popularity. Kaya nga itong mga taga-correct movement, they've been really pushing hard on constitutional reform. Unfortunately, we have a pandemic right now, and talks of a constitutional reform is hard to talk about because people are not clamoring for it. People don't hardly understand what it's all about. And even if we try hard to discuss this with people, what the merits are, it will take some time before they truly absorb and really get the importance of why we need constitutional reform. So yun po yung challenge natin ngayon. And siguro through the people who view this program, and we're hoping that you will be diligent enough to read about it. Ano ba yung mga programa o mga reforma na itinutulak ng gobyerno? At tapos pag-aralan po natin para pag merong mga taong nagtatanong, kayang-kaya ninyong sagutin. At very obvious naman po yung mga kailangan baguhin talaga sa gobyerno ngayon or kailangan baguhin sa ating lipunan. Ang kaya maraming mga trapo. Bakit ba nauso yung term na trapo? Sa atin lang yata nauso yung term na trapo kasi that's dahil yun ang realidad ng ating political system. Yung mga tao na yan, they want to survive, they want to stay in power, and for them to stay in power, they have to political survival is dependent on their allegiance to a certain popular personality. This time around, it's the president. Hindi lang natin na ma-maximize yun. Alam mo bakit? Kasi si Presidente, napag-usapan namin to Eric Mikel. Kung sabihin ni Presidente, gusto ko ng constitutional reform, pustahan tayo tapos ang usapan. Kahit anong ingay paggawin ng kabila about Chacha, mangyayari at mangyayari yan. Yung gusto natin sa Presidente, dahil sa kanyang authentic, dahil sa very authentic ang kanyang what's the word? He really wants to be genuinely independent or he really doesn't want to influence the other branches of government, he doesn't want to shove it in their throat, constitutional reform. Kumbaga, he still leaves it to Congress to make a decision whether or not to push for it. Unfortunately, Congress is dependent on the president to tell them what to do. But the president doesn't want to interfere. Same thing that's happening with the speakership. Sabi ni Presidente, let's broker a deal. After Cayetano, 15 months of Cayetano, si Velasco will take over for 22 months. Diba? Tapos ngayon, may problema. Because si Velasco doesn't want to give in. He wants to take over right away, as soon as possible. But si Cayetano wants to finish the budget. But when talking about the budget, there's so many different things. It makes it more complicated because when you talk about budget, you talk about money. And money is very important. Budget is very important when it comes to Congress. Diba? Yun yung tinatawag ng parang pork. Diba? Diyan yung pinagkukunan nila ng kanilang budget for their respective regions and respective the places that they represent. So, but the president, what did the president say? I'm not gonna dictate to Congress. Kayo na bahala. Anong gusto niyo mangyari?
Yeah, sort it out, right?
Sort it out yourselves because that's not di ba? I mean, ang kanya is executive. Wala na siyang pakialam sa legislative. He can only recommend, but at the end of the day, it's still them who will decide. Kaya yun ang problema natin sa constitutional reform. Even if the president wants this to happen, but if Congress are dependent on him to tell them what to do, then nothing's gonna happen because they will not move unless the president says so. You see the dilemma there? We're in a sort of like in a
waiting game, kumbaga.
Yes. So ngayon, ang issue ng core or the ones who are pushing for it, how do we get the president to tell Congress that this is that he supports this? But at the same time, we don't want the president to do that because he doesn't want to. So it's up to Congress to have the initiative to make it happen.
But di ba nga, Ron, there's a lot of politicians who don't want it to happen kasi bakit nila babaguhin yung sistema kung lahat sila kumikita na dyan sa sistema na yan? So if you're already raking in the money, you have so much power and influence, like you have so much influence now, you're making so much money, why would you want to change it? It's not in their best interest. They'll only change it if you can guarantee them dun sa bagong system, ganun pa rin yung kalakaran. Which is unlikely. So you really need, that's why naintindihan ko din yung frustration nila Lawrence and the core movement people. Because for them, di ba, Duterte has shown time and time again that he has political will. Di ba? Like if you want something done, gagawin niya, kuwari, Boracay, lockdown, or whatever it is, ABS-CBN. Whether you agree with it or not, pag sinabi niya gusto niya mangyari, he makes it happen, di ba? So parang siguro yung frustration din ng mga guys from core is that parang bakit ito palaging hindi natutuloy? So there must be other stuff at play there. Intindihan na lang natin. We just don't give up. Yung suggestion ko lang dun sa core guys, because Ron, and other people like that, they still want that to happen, and there's still possibilities. It may not happen within the next few months or what, but sana tuloy pa rin yung work behind the scenes so that once we're ready, it can still happen. Ang sana lang is whoever wins the next election in 2022, sana hindi mamatay yung progress ng na yan, di ba? Kasi I think we really, really, really need a change. 100%. Sawang-sawa na tayo dito sa system of just choosing a new leader but expecting the same, different results. But it's always the same. Always the same.
Michael, the difficulty din for this campaign to continue is that obviously it requires a budget. And it's budget season, di ba, sa Congress ngayon. And syempre, they're deliberating already the budget for 2021. And now, the concentration, the focus of most of the congressmen is about COVID-19 mitigation and all the different things that we need to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Ang problema dyan, things like that are also essential, like constitutional reform, which is part of the president's platform, are being set aside. Not because it's not important, but politically it's not correct to deal with it right now. You know what I mean? And Congress, definitely, kaya nga when you hear their pronouncements in the last few months, tapos in, mass media has been, talagang attacking it as chacha. Oh, grabe naman tong mga to, chacha pinapag-usapan, merong pandemic. Kasi gusto nilang ipalabas sa tao na itong constitutional reform is really chacha. And chacha is really about extending terms. It's really about, perpetuating power. It's about it's allowing foreign investors to come in or the Chinese to buy us out. Mga ganun kasi mga kasinungalingan ang gusto nilang ipalabas para to discourage people from supporting it. Unfortunately, people don't see it, and even the politicians, when they see it short term, they don't see that in the long run, in the long term, we need systemic reforms so that we can bounce back from this pandemic. Diba? I mean, how do you generate jobs? Because ultimately, that's going to be the main problem of the that will result from this pandemic. People will lose their jobs. You will have OFWs, and if I'm hoping that the projections are wrong, about 300,000 OFWs will have to come back home because they will lose their jobs abroad. What are those people going to do when they come back? Diba? So, ang tanong dyan is, how do we generate jobs? How do we create jobs for these people who will be displaced? The long-term solution is to change the Constitution. Because part of changing the Constitution is removing the FDI restrictions. What is the FDI restrictions? The foreign direct investment 60-40. Kaya the correct movement people have been really like, alam mo, dapat tanggalin yung FDI. If we can't do everything, at the very least, we should push for the FDI restrictions to be removed. Because we want foreign investments to come in. But people like from the left, like Ibon Foundation for one, they will say there's no data that will prove that if foreign investments come in, it will generate jobs. Yun daw sinasabi yan sila. Oo, sabi ng Ibon Foundation. Yes. Wala daw accurate data, or nothing supports that assumption na hindi daw yan automatic. Siyempre, sinasabi ng mga even the business community are saying, are you kidding? When nagkaroon ng sa Kongreso, hearing sa Kongreso na inorganize ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. He is in charge of constitutional amendments sa Congress. Yeah. And then they invited all the people from different sectors, including the ones from the left, people from civil society, also the private sector and the businesses. So yun ang sabi ng even Makati Business Club, or even the ones who are part of that, are saying that they're open to the idea of opening the economy to foreign investors.
Yeah.
And we have successful models like China and Singapore who've done the same thing, and now diba, they're flourishing as an economy.
Ron, may tanong si Attorney Mikoy. And is the proposal to shift to federalism and parliamentary system, how does the proposal plan to deal with the inequitable distribution of wealth for the poor, federal states that will be created?
Merong definitely, attorney, merong dyan, implementing rules na kasama doon sa pag-shift to federalism and parliamentary system. It's not going to be plainly changing the system. There will be laws that will be definitely crafted so that it will be implemented properly. As a matter of fact, even their proposal to institutionalize the Mandanas ruling of the Supreme Court. Just in case you don't know what the Mandanas ruling is, si Governor Mandanas of Batangas filed a case against the government regarding the IRA, the internal revenue allotment of all the different municipalities, regions in the Philippines. Kasi each has meron tayong mga shares sa diba, sa revenue, sa internal revenue. Now they contested that everything goes to the national government and they're not getting just share. So they contested that, they filed the case sa Supreme Court and they won. And by 2022, they will implement the Mandanas ruling. And once they do that, magkakaroon ng tataas ang share ng ating mga regions, ng ating mga provinces, ng ating mga cities outside Metro Manila to as much as 28% of the era. That will have very positive ramifications. Unfortunately, not all local governments have the capacity to implement that. As a matter of fact, right now, there are certain LGUs who have savings because they don't know how to use the money in improving their locality. We have local leaders who are not technocrats. Ang ginagawa lang na they hire mga job order, they do these certain projects, but they don't have like a clear plan for their respective districts or localities. So ngayon, meron mga reforms na kailangan gagawin that includes devolution, which ultimately, hopefully, will lead to federalism and a parliamentary form of government. Federalism, obviously, is the form of government, and the basic principle is devolution, which the devolving powers of the national government to the local governments. Now that will entail proper management, which will entail giving the regional development councils enough power to make sure plans are set for these regions. Hindi natin pwedeng iwan sa ating mga local government officials ang pagpaplano ng development sa kanilang mga rehiyon. We need a body which will help them, capacitate them to make this happen. So yun po yung mga bagay na kailangan natin pag-isipan ngayon, na kailangan natin baguhin ngayon. Kasi kung gusto nating ma-develop po ang ating mga probinsya, ang ating mga syudad outside of Metro Manila, kailangan po suportahan natin itong mga reformang ito. And it starts with, kasi before we get into the federalism, that is a long process eh. We have to start with the things that we can do now, like removing FDI restrictions. Diba? Like empowering the Regional Development Council. Kung hindi kayo familiar sa trabaho, lahat po ng rehiyon may Regional Development Council po. Sila po yung sila yung recommendatory body in all the regions that you belong to. Sila yung nagpapadala ng mga plano sa NEDA. Ito ang plano ng region namin. Gusto namin magpagawa ng bridge. Gusto namin magpagawa ng ganito, ng park. Ito ang itsura. Ito ang magiging magiging industries namin dito sa probinsya namin. Ito ang plano namin sa infrastructure. Sila nagle-layout ng plan sa NEDA. But NEDA, because we are in a unitary system, depending on who the president is, he will choose which projects to fund. So kahit na gaano kaganda plano mo sa probinsya, pero dahil wala kang suporta sa presidente at yung presidente mo very partisan, hindi talaga lalago ang ekonomiya ng iyong probinsya. Yan ang problema sa unitary system. Kaya, Attorney Mikoy, we need to slowly, and I'm saying slowly, that is the operative word, to slowly transition and devolve the functions of the national government to the local governments. And that is the beginning of transitioning to a federal form of government. And hopefully, so that we will have a more mature political system, we will have to adopt a parliamentary system, because that's the way if you want to remove popularity politics. Na, the person who yields the stick is usually the president. Diba?
Sayo ka lang ng budot. Okay na.
Tapos ang laban. So yun yung sanang we're hoping, Mikel, na mangyari. Unfortunately kasi it's budget season, Mikel. And they're very averse to anything outside the COVID-19. Paano kung hindi masama itong budget for 2021? Ano ba yan?
Wala bang budget originally already set aside for this?
Meron kasama sa proposal eh. Ngayon, yan nga, that's part of the deliberations happening in Congress right now. Ang problema sa Kongreso, na pag minention mo lang constitutional reform or anything that is related to Chacha, yung mga ating mga kapatid sa Pakabayan Bloc, babanatan kagad ng DILG because mainit sila sa DILG. Sabihin, ano to? Yan na naman, tsa-tsa na naman ang iniisip ninyo. Dapat iniisip niyo ano yung gagawin sa yung mga nagugutom, mga ganyan na naman banat na mga yan. They're not gonna pay attention to the merits of why we need to change the constitution, because you know why? As long as that system is broken, the left will always have a reason to fight. Meron pa rin silang reason why they need to topple the government. Yun yung kasi kung i-improve natin yung system, ano pang purpose nila?
Well, ang sana lang kasi is they can make at least yung 60-40, like we said before in the show, diba? Instead of making it all happen, na sobrang hirap because of the budgetary and all that kind of stuff, slowly but surely, sana they could make little parts of it the most important, the most relevant, and then get some snowball movement ba? So that the momentum will go and people can see, actually it works, there's benefits to this, as opposed to one wholesale change, no? So perhaps the 60-40 would be the best bet because, you clarify naman yung sa 60-40, it's not land ownership, diba? Yun yung hesitance na ibang mga tao before. Like I said in our previous show, probably now is the best time to ask for 60-40 because the economy is bad. And we need support, and the global economy is bad. So everybody's looking at where they can put their money now. Where is it safer to invest? Where can we grow this money? Diba? Kasi their own economies medyo magulo. So they will look at the other ones who are open. So our neighboring countries na bukas. Tayo, sarado pa rin, diba? So maybe those are the kinds of things na as opposed to just, hindi na pwede mangyari. I think kasi if you make some of those small changes, it makes a difference already. Mabubuhayan yung mga tao and will show that there are some benefits. But for me, 60-40 is probably the best start, no? But done properly, obviously. Hindi yung basta 60-40 pwede na, di ba? Within the guidelines that will benefit the Filipino pa rin and not just the foreign investor.
That's exactly the problem, Mikel, Eric. We are confident that it will get support from Congress or even the Senate. Removing the 60-40 restrictions makes sense. And I don't think, except for the left or the Makabayan bloc, because they're the only ones who will block something like that, because they want everything to be owned by the state. They want the state to initiate, they want state run institutions. They actually want a steel mill run by the government, which was, everything should be ganun ang kanilang mentality. So if we were to open the country to foreign investments, that's something counterintuitive to their principles. That's why they will really block that. But right now, given the nature of how things work globally and everything is interconnected economically, we really need to open our economy and improve the economic environment for foreign investors to come in. So that's the first thing we need to do.
So medyo yung Ibon Foundation na yun na nagsabi na walang evidence, walang data to support that it's going to create jobs. I think they're just being very foolish and square. Kasi look, as we've discussed previously in this show, the way things are marketed here in the Philippines now is study hard so that you can work abroad. Ganun
Tama.
diba? So why can't we do it here? Why can't we provide jobs here? And one of the reasons why we can't provide jobs is, number one, is the 60-40 thing. Because not a lot of businesses are opening up. There are marami mga business dyan, pero mga small and medium enterprises. Walang big multinational companies masyadong na tumatayo dito sa Philippines because of that 60-40 thing, right? Now, if we take that out, then we can actually provide more jobs for talented Filipinos. One of the major problems that we had during this COVID pandemic is because all the best nurses are out. They're in the UK, they're in Australia, they're in the States, they're everywhere, except the Philippines. I'm not saying that the nurses in the Philippines currently are not good, but it's just that hirap sila. Kulang sila, di ba?
Ito another manifestation, Rick, if you go to, I saw this video of a doctor who's based now in Canada. a Filipino doctor who can't practice medicine in Canada because obviously.
Si Raul Valles, he is
Kilala mo yun?
Davaoenyo. He's
So
Davaoenyo.
yes, I saw that video of
Yeah.
him, parang testimonial on what's happening with, and apparently there's so many doctors, Filipino doctors in Canada who can't practice. Isipin mo yung brain drain, people who left the country, they go to another country where they can't practice medicine, something that they invested in. I mean, so much of their time, like years of training, and they can't even use their expertise in that country. But they decided to move to another country because they think they stand a better chance of having better lives for their children. So that's the situation that we are in right now. Now, how can we bring these people back so they can practice medicine here?
True. But yung masasabi ko lang din kila Lawrence and the core, because I follow their page, I see, no? They think that the 60-40 is, sometimes they think that the 60-40 is the answer to everything. Sadly, it's not. It won't guarantee the end to poverty here. It won't all of a sudden make us all rich and make it all fair, no? It still has to be done properly to make sure that wealth is spread. Yung mga concern ni Mikoy is about making sure that the provinces all benefit. Like we said before, kuwari, a big multinational company wants to come in, instead of saying, oh, dito ka sa Manila, dun ka. We choose a province na there's enough infrastructure that they can build there and make the people there benefit, diba? But to say lang kasi na 60-40 will fix it all, it's a start for me. It's a good start, but it could still be, if handled by the same vultures that already handle our system now, sasablay pa rin, no? So let's not put all our eggs in that one basket.
But ang ano naman dyan, ang approach dyan, Mikel, we just need one very important amendment to the Constitution to snowball.
Yeah, ano lang yun. Di ba nga, they say, like, if it's like how you pay for your credit card debt, di ba, there's that way, di ba, na, so you make, you focus on one first. You make, kuwari, madami kang credit card na pinag-utangan mo, you focus first on that one, you pay it off, and then it will snowball and you create momentum for the others, no?
Yes.
So I guess the 60-40, from what I can see, is probably the easiest one to get past, na most politicians will be okay with that kasi it won't affect them naman eh. Kasi yung mahirap dyan, yung kuwari, yung mga dynasty, yung mga yung mga medyo delikado sila. Although to be fair though, if I were a congressman, a mayor or whatever, I'd be happy if my region, my city or whatever will become, my district will become rich from this, diba? Kasi nandun na yung wealth, your constituents will be happy. If you're the one who brought jobs to the constituents there, syempre bubutuhin ka ng mga yan every time. They'll be happy with your system. And you as a mayor or a congressman will be happy kasi naglalakad ka sa town mo. Kita mo, may industry na, may mga trabaho, hindi na namamalimos yung mga tao sa'yo. There's healthcare, there's good education, yung mga ganyan, diba?
Well, something like that happened already during the administration of President Duterte. Remember, of course, before the president decided that Boracay should be rehabilitated, Boracay was like anong term ni Presidente? A cesspool. And it has the worst roads. Grabe, baha sa Boracay, di ba? Pag grabing ulan, ibang klase doon. Tapos ang baho, di ba? Naamoy mo yung sewerage doon sa may station 2. Talagang reeking yung naalala ba yung mga times na yun, Rick? I mean, when the times you went to Boracay, do you remember those times na talagang, wow, what's happening here?
Every time you go to Boracay in the last few years, it would get worse. Parang you went like 10, 15 years ago, wow, ganda. And then you go back a few years ago, parang, oh my God, what's happening? And then it just gets worse and worse. But now it's nice again, so fair play.
Exactly. If we were to leave it to our local chief executives, no? And I'm sorry, but we have to accept the fact that we have some of our local chief executives are not exactly, managers, are not exactly technocrats, are not exactly forward thinking. They're there because they have a family name, they are an established family in that area. That's why they win. But most of the time, they're not really there to help their respective district or town to improve. And that's exactly what happened to Boracay. Until the national government decided to step in, bigla na lang funds were poured in to improve Boracay. Then ang suggestion was to gawing parang SBMA ang Boracay. Hindi na mayroong papatakbo ng Boracay, national government na, para talagang alagang-alaga. Yun ang mga ngayon ang iniisip ngayon, parang Clark, parang SBMA, parang ganun ang gusto nilang mangyari sa Boracay. Kasi kung iiwan natin sa local,
baka bumalik lang sa dati.
Politicians, wala pinapagkakitaan lang talaga nila yung kailang pwesto diyan Maraming mga, unfortunately, warlord mentality pa rin yung mga ibang local officials natin. They're dependent on their hold of their constituents, and they don't really have the best interest of the people that they govern when it comes to holding position. So yan ang ating mga concern in sa ganitong klaseng setup. So imagine if we create a system where each local government will have like an RDC that tells them this is the grand plan. This is what we want to happen to this region. In all the provinces within that region, including the cities, the municipalities, the towns, these will be the things that we will set up in terms of infrastructure, in terms of businesses that will come in, the partnerships that we will have with other countries. Parang alam niyo yung mga sister cities na concept na kunyari itong town sa let's say Davao City will be the sister city of Hawaii, ganyan, or Siargao. Tapos kung ano yung let's say yung city planning ng Hawaii, i-emulate ngayon sa Siargao. Diba? Imagine things like that. That can happen if we have the right resources, the right people behind the development of each region. And if there's true devolution, including the resources na tama para doon sa ating mga rehiyon, mas madaling mangyari yon. At pag na-develop yung lugar ninyo, sigurado, ang merong trabahong ma-generate sa improvements o sa development ng iyong lugar. At yung mga tao sa Metro Manila na taga-probinsya ay hindi na kailangang magstay sa Metro Manila para makakuha ng trabaho. You can go back home because there are new jobs back home that can support your families. Yun yung idea doon, Miguel.
Yes. I agree. Lawrence, wag ka magalit. Hindi ko naman sinasabi na that's what you think. I'm just saying that we all have to be careful now. We don't think that the 60-40 is the be-all and end-all. It's a good start. I agree with you. I'm campaigning for you, Lawrence. Don't worry. I'm on your side. I agree with what you're saying there 100%. I'm just saying that the other people, like sometimes in your page, yun lang sinasabi nila is the 60-40 will be the end of it's not going to be the solution, especially if it's not done properly. It can still be open to abuse for sure, trust me. But I'm on your side, Lawrence, don't worry.
People who are in this current system or are used to circumventing the system will try to find a way. Even if we change the system right now, these people are used to taking advantage of weaknesses to make sure that they stay in power, or they can still take advantage so that they can earn their
but that's why it needs to be done properly, kasi there's so many things like our natural resources need to be protected, like our utilities. We all complain about the internet, the water, the electricity, but if we just hand that over to whatever foreign company, baka naman they'll just abuse it and pay off politicians again here, no? So it has again to be protected and done properly. Not to say we shouldn't do it, but just with the proper safeguards, because I can understand how that could be open to abuse.
Actually, that's the reason why the 60-40 doesn't work, is because some companies who are willing to circumvent our laws, they have deals with certain local officials who have their own special interest in their localities. They will deal with these companies because they don't mind on paper owning only 40%. But they have like a sort of like a gentleman's agreement between whoever that is who are signing the papers na magawa tayo ng dummy company Filipino.
May mga nag-offer dyan, Ron, na pwede ka maging dummy for foreigners. Meron dyan. Kung gusto mo kumita ng pera, may mga nag-offer dyan.
Oh, di ba? May mga ganun eh. Pero do you want that kind of culture where people still, taking advantage of a corrupt system? That's why it's not working. It's because, certain people are taking advantage of it, and these people are the ones who are up to no good. And if you have people who are up to no good running the show, then expect deterioration of society as we know it. Yun yung yung issue dyan. But if we change the system where it's legal for a foreign company to own majority shares here in our country, not necessarily land, then that should be fine. Okay, because that worked for Singapore, for countries like China, foreign companies coming in. But it doesn't mean that we don't have enabling laws. That laws that will say, hindi lahat hindi pwede mong gawin. Okay? Dapat meron ka pa rin kailangan i-follow na rules and regulations when owning a company in the Philippines. Hindi naman parang bilang carte blanche na yung foreign company can do whatever they want once they own a company here. Meron pa rin yung mga restrictions, which I'm sure meron din sa mga foreign companies who are operating in Singapore, in China, meron pa rin ganoon. Kaya sabi nga, connecting to what Attorney Mikoy is saying, your Attorney Mikel, when you say abolishing the 60-40 rule, is that with regard to public utilities and utilization of natural resources? Attorney Mikoy, I would gladly have a couple of our professors who are in charge of policy, and they're the ones who've been revising some of the proposed provisions that amendments that they want for the Constitution to explain exactly what the DILG is pushing in terms of amendments to the Constitution. Para lang clear yun. Kasi actually to be more specific, to be more clear about what the DILG is pushing. Simple lang naman yung gustong baguhin ng DILG sa i-amend sa Constitution. Dagdagan lang daw yung 60-40 restriction ng parang clause na that will open it up to our lawmakers creating laws that will allow foreign investment to come in. So until provided by law, parang ganun yung may i-add lang sila dun sa provision, Mikel. Parang starters lang natin sa pag-amend ng Constitution. We will not totally change the Constitution. We will just add certain we will just add certain provisions or we will add to the current we will try to improve the provisions that we have already in the 1987 Constitution.
Tama, dapat.
Ayun, so si Lawrence na-trigger si Lawrence.
I'm happy. Go for it, Lawrence. Tama yung sinasabi mo. Because he said, tama yung sinabi niya, the 60-40 won't completely work alongside in the presidential system. Tama yan.
Si Lorenzo Aquino, si Kiko Cuneta kasi.
Because he's the one in charge, diba? He's
siya
the one
Constitutional amendment, si Kiko Pangilinan eh.
How did he get that assignment if it's something he doesn't want to happen?
Alam mo, it's hard not to think that they weren't really serious about constitutional amendments because they actually gave that committee to him. Kasi if they were serious about that, they would have given that committee to somebody aligned to the administration.
Kasi you basically know that's the one guy that won't allow it to happen, and so or if playing devil's advocate, it's just that he could be he's a good guy to be in charge because he knows all of the reasons why he doesn't want to do it, and parang he could be the balancing but then sa totoo lang it's probably because he's the one who won't make it happen.
Sabi niya Stephen Barter, Mikel, it was pre-planned.
No, grabe, walang ganyan sa gobyerno. Ano ka ba? Never happens.
Sabi ka namang suspicious, bro.
Maybe he's the most qualified. Maybe he's a constitutional expert.
Baka lang.
Baka ginagawa nung before? Agriculture, di ba? Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko naman kilala yan. But, Baka kasi si Kaki, Pangilinan, madami ding alam. So, hindi ko alam.
Si Kaki. Grabe to si Mika. Simple lang humirit. Grabe.
Sino pa nadamay ko dito? Hindi, si Coco lang. Si Coco lang. Tanong niyo siya.
Ay, nako. Anyway, it's already 11:08. And it's time for us to do... I wanted to do pasaway for the day.
Oh, meron?
Kaso hindi ko na napicturean yung mga tao na nakita ko kanina eh. Kasi nahiya ako. Parang... But I just wanted to let you know that most of the time naman, people are very cooperative as far as the rules are concerned, no? As far as the basic health standards, following the basic health standards, the DOH and the DILG are concerned. Marami naman sumusunod. Meron lang hindi tama ang pagsunod.
Well, I think, Ron, na-notice ko lang to recently din, I mean, observation ko lang, is a lot of people don't understand kung bakit kailangan nila gawin to. Like, example lang, yung building dito na pinapakita ko sa ilang days na, diba? Yung gugulod, yung... Anyway, nung nakausap ko yung building manager nung isang araw, very nice naman, accommodating over the phone. Parang she kept saying sorry kasi for the noise. Sabi ko, actually, yung noise is just a small part of it. Ang concern ko is yung mga nagtatrabaho dyan, they're going in and out with no safety controls, they're not wearing PPE. So lahat kayo working in that building, pwede kayo magkasakit and you can spread that also in our local community. So yun yung bigger concern. Obviously, hassle yung karaoke and whatever. But yung nung sinabi ko, syempre they understand. Sabi ko, you guys also, kuwari, yung security guard nyo, pasaway, he's the one taking everybody's temperature, but yung pala, siya yung may sakit. Kasi siya yung hindi maingat, di ba? Yung mga ganun, once people tend to understand it, they'll follow naman. Sometimes lang kasi parang sabi mo, mask, face shield, tapos. But in fairness, like in the malls, everybody's wearing a mask and a face shield. Mm-hmm. So good job. I think we're one of the best countries for that kasi in other countries naman, they're, mask na lang nga sila. Tayo, may face shield pa. Have you tried? Minsan nakakahilo na naglalakad ka naka-face shield.
Tapos nagmi-miss pa yung face shield mo dahil sa hininga mo.
Lately daw, Florida just gave up. Parang, okay, just do what you want.
Yeah, and they're the ones with the spiking cases also.
Oh.
Di ba parang they're gonna open up with no restrictions. Yung mga bars and everything, bahala na si Batman and we'll see. And the other worry kasi now for everybody is it's getting colder and colder. So, syempre, in other countries in Europe, it's becoming winter again. And winter time is when they get the flu bad. So, COVID, hopefully, sana mali tayo, it won't come back with a vengeance, especially in Europe. Kasi those are the places na pag malamig na, delikado, even in the US. Imagine places like New York, once it starts snowing again, getting so cold.
Si President Trump, nagka-COVID-19. Tsaka si Melania. Ayan, presidente na yan.
Ayaw kasi mag-mask. Naglakad siya pa nga kanina eh. Diba? Kawawa naman yung nag-drive sa kanya na Secret Service. Ako, kasama mo may COVID sa auto.
Pero dyan mo rin masabi, ibang klase rin talaga yung hate na, na talaga yung divisiveness ng mga Amerikano. Kasi nagka-COVID si Trump, talagang yung vitriol sa social media, parang kulang na sana mamatay ka na. Ganun yung mga panat eh.
But that's what happens now, Ron. Kahit dito naman sa Pilipinas, like I'm telling you, if si President Duterte nga, ilang beses na nilang pinatay sa kabilang, di ba? So parang, and if, let's say, it comes to fruition one day na magkasakit talaga and he dies, other people will rejoice. But that's how sad the state of the world is now. Na you take delight in somebody getting sick. Diba parang they always say na you shouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. Yung mga ganyan. Kahit ikaw, dapat Liverpool, di kaya sobrang galit sa Aston Villa na you wish the whole Aston Villa team to get COVID. Di ba? Hindi ganyan. Just, dapat, clap lang.
Hindi mo talaga iwasan balik sa to rub it in, no? Ay,
papatato ko na dito.
Alam mo bakit bad trip yan? Kasi may international break. So 2 weeks ka pa magmumukmuk bago maalis yung
No, you'll forget it. Don't worry, it will be fine. It was a blip. Don't worry. We all have our off days. Don't worry. Babawi ang team mo, bro.
Don't worry.
Tapos yung next na kalaban pa nila, Everton.
Yun
Dapat-
ang maganda. James
malakas
Rodriguez.
Dapat malampasan nila Everton para naman magmian sila. May bawi na statement na not, alam mo yun, not yet, we're not yet, not so fast.
It's too early also in the game, so don't worry. It's just a fluke. I'm pretty sure Liverpool will bounce back.
Plastic ka rin, plastic ka.
Smile pa siya. 7-2.
Plastic ka rin. Yabang mo, porkit nanalo ang Tottenham just recently, pati Arsenal. Okay lang.
Ano nga yung scoreline ng Tottenham? Sa kasinong kalaban namin?
6-1 Man United. Ito, Rick, ito lang Hindi sila mamayabang pero feeling ko kahit ako kaya kong makascore kay Harry Maguire.
Oo nga. Feeling ko ginawa niya, di ba?
Feeling ko ayaw kong lusutan niya.
Man United ngayon, wala namang depensa yun eh.
Oh, well.
Grabe si Ron, no?
Grabe beat. Pero masarap manonood ng football ngayon, madaming goal. Pag walang fans, parang mas nakaka-goal yung mga players.
Walang pressure ata.
Huwag na pabalikan yung mga fans. Okay na yun.
Alam mo, nakakainis sa mga football fans, lalo yung mga sa Premier League fans, hindi nila nakakalimutan yung mga ganyang klaseng mga blemishes ng isang team. Kagaya nung malala mo, yung tinalo ng Stoke yung panahon ni Brendan Rodgers, tinalo ng Stoke ang Liverpool 5-1. Last game of the season yata, that was 2014.
Yeah, I remember that.
Parating binabalik-balik yan ng mga taga Man United, ng mga taga Man City, 5-1 sa Stoke. Ngayon, I'm sure gagamitin nila yung 7-2 na yan. 7-2, gaya na ginagawa ni Eric.
Ganun talaga ang rivalry. Ganyan talaga.
It's what makes it fun. You
You
gotta
the banter.
take the rough with the smooth. In life, guys, to all our viewers, ganyan talaga. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So, tayo mo, si President Duterte today, he could have 91% rating. After a while, baka iba na, diba? So, ganyan talaga yan. Up and down.
Kahit na depressed nga ako dahil sa Liverpool, pero nung lumabas yung Pulse Asia na survey, medyo na gumaan rin pakiramdam ko kasi, wow, galing naman ni Presidente, 91%. Yun yung aking saving. At least medyo nagpalubag loob sa akin yun.
Si False Asia, tinulungan ka ni False Asia.
Si False Asia daw. Bayaran. Si Trump gising kasi sa isipan ng katotohanan. Hindi nila maloko yung Tedros and Judas, Bill Gates and the globalist cabal.
Hayop.
Solid to.
Baka maputol yung internet namin bigla. Sino ginagalit niyo dyan?
Oo nga.
Speaking of Facebook, di ba naging parang issue yan lately? Yung parang gusto magkaroon ng government ng talagang masinsinang usap-usapan with Facebook. Bakit daw tinanggal yung mga certain pages ng government na legitimate naman yung mga concerns. Kagaya yung Hands Off Our Children. Naman, Hands Off Our Children is a legitimate cause because these parents have kids who were lost to talagang a pointless rebellion. I mean, ang dami nga mga rebel returnees who've been talking about their life in the NPA na talagang it was like hell on earth. Diba? Tapos meron pang mga sumasali sa NPA na kababaihan na mga nire-rape na kanilang mga kasama sa NPA. May mga ganyan pong mga kwento. At yun, namamatay sila. Mga tatalino pa naman sana. Graduate ng UP. Sayang yung mga scholar. Nasayang yung mga buhay. Sana, naging mga doktor sana sila or mga naging magagaling na politician. Instead, they took up arms and what happened? They got killed for nothing. Right? And they have... Anyway, so this is just one of the things na, issues that have been popping out. Kasi may isang USEC sa PCO, pinapatanggal ng Makabayan Block.
Nakita ko yan. Oh.
Kita mo yun? Kasi tapos may yung isang head ng ng NICA, the National Intelligence Agency, na nagkakalat na ng fake news according to the Makabayan Block. But ang tanong dyan, totoo ba talaga ang Makabayan Block or karamihan sa mga grupo sa Makabayan Block hindi
Probably not.
associated sa NPA. Rick, sa tingin mo, bakit daw sila nire-red tag? Ha?
Medyo obvious galawan nila eh.
Oo nga eh.
Medyo obvious talaga eh. So,
Pero
ano yan?
may mga picture nga sila sa Google, Google mo lang eh. Na ang mga kanilang mga hinahawakang mga tarpaulin. Sumali sa NPA, sumapi sa NPA, mga gago. Tapos magre-reklamo sila, nire-red tag sila, mga loko-loko talaga itong mga to. Obvious naman yung galawan nila. Alam mo yung Mikel, naasar ka ba doon sa kaibigan mo na alam mo na ginagago ka, pero tuloy pa rin siya na ginagago ka? Tapos ikaw parang natatawa ka na lang. Talaga.
Eric, pinapatamaan ka na naman nito.
Di ba? Alam ko ako yun eh.
Nahimik na si Eric dito. Grabe naman. 7-2.
7-2.
Grabe, ikaw na nga tayo. Visit ka.
Mag-treadmill ka na lang ulit.
Okay. Alright, time for the big takeaway, starting with Eric Madraso. Anong big takeaway mo, Rick?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for everyone who's watched the show tonight. Very engaging. Maraming salamat. At gigreet ko lang yung special someone ko. Mansari namin ngayon. So kung nanonood ka.
Wow! Ito ba ex-girlfriend mo?
Hindi, gago.
Bumakoy, patay ka.
Si Earl yung gago.
Ang litong, uy, gago.
Kala
ko mag-asawa tayo. Nagtawag mo sa asawa mo, ex-girlfriend. Yun.
Okay.
Tama, sabay bawi. Tama
naman.
Ikaw naman, masyado ka namang defensive.
Ex-roommate.
Ex-roommate, yun. Okay. Yun
yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, so I think one of the mga epiphanies ko ngayon is yung survey natin kanina and what I said about it. Which is yung divide. I think it's really an illusion. I don't think the Philippines is divided. I think we're still more united than we are divided. And a lot of people just care about improvements, no? Philippines being a better country, we becoming a better people, more jobs for everyone and more opportunities for everyone as well. I think most people are in that page. And one of the reasons why Duterte has this consistently high ratings is yun kasi yung focus talaga ni President Duterte ever since is really providing jobs, providing a lot more benefits for people. One classic example is yung 911 tsaka yung 8888 na numbers na pwede mong tawagan if you have an emergency or may reklamo ka about the government, right? So, I mean, yung ganyang klase mga developments, they are very big improvements, especially for the common folk, no? And yeah, I guess regarding yung itong constitutional reforms natin, I agree with everyone, no, especially si Mikel and si Lawrence, na talagang kailangan talaga natin mangyari yan, hopefully sooner than later. Kasi it's really going to create a lot more jobs and keep Filipinos, talented Filipinos in the Philippines, and they're working for the Philippines. Yun isa sa mga gusto ko sana mangyari.
Cool.
So, yun lang.
Cool.
So, ito
si Attorney Mikoy, may hirit pa sa'yo, May hirit sa'yo, Mikel.
Oo nga eh.
Okay na, sanay na ako dyan. Laker fan pa yung hype na yan. Love you, Attorney. Speed dial ka yan. Pag nakulong ako, yan ang tatawagan ko.
Ganun ba? Okay.
I trust that guy with my life.
Maintain the relationship. If somebody can get you out of jail, that's worth maintaining a relationship with.
And he's very, very smart guy. And I love Mikoy because he's always fair. Walang bias yan. He'll always do the
Arsenal,
fair.
again. No.
Walang Premier League team yan. Juventus lang yan at saka Borussia Dortmund ever since.
Ganun ba?
Okay.
Walang Premier League yan.
Bundesliga tsaka lang.
Cool. Ikaw, Mikel, anong ano mo?
Again, thank you to everyone. Sobrang daming comments tonight and engagement. I love it. That's our favorite part, guys. So to everybody who's watching from all over the world, sobrang we appreciate it. Otherwise, kaming tatlong gago lang nag-uusap dito. Walang mangyari sa... Maghihiritan lang kami buong gabi about football. So we really, really appreciate it. Tapos yung other benefit din kasi niyan, guys, is we also get your side, your opinions. Diba? Importante yan. So like people like Lawrence and Attorney Mikoy and everybody else, your opinions matter also. So natututo din kami, hindi lang kami dito very stubborn and ano, no. So thank you again. We appreciate everybody's in terms of yung topic tonight, yung kay President Duterte na 91%. I'm happy for the government that they have that rating, but like I said earlier, they shouldn't be confident or bank on this. Ang dami pang kailangan gawin. We shouldn't just relax because this has happened. Wag tayong magmayabang. There's still a lot of work. If they can still continue to reach out to the other parties to work together, better. I'm also calling out on dun sa kabilang party, the LPs and the yellows or whatever they're called, if they can find it in their hearts to find ways also sana to work with the government as opposed to against all of the time. I think it's probably better. Nakita nyo naman lahat ng efforts nyo recently, parang wala nangyari, no? Instead na nagulo lang mga tao, and I think we it's about time we start working together. And so the government, don't relax. There's still a lot of work to be done, especially with the economy and COVID. There's still a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people have no jobs. If you go to the malls now, ang daming store na sarado. Mall pa lang yan. Imagine throughout the country. So I pray for all of our fellow countrymen na walang trabaho ngayon. Trust me, it's hard. We all know, and we pray that we get out of this soon. Yun lang. And then for the constitutional reform, again, I've said it many times. I really hope that we get there. There's people like, imagine kuwari Ron, si Mikoy, he's a lawyer. He's, very, very involved in many things, but they don't necessarily know a lot about these things yet because it's not discussed as much. So I think there's a lot of information. He still has a lot of questions. Like you mentioned, yung mga professors who are working behind the scenes, they'd like to maybe engage mga ganun in discussion so that people can be more aware. I know, Ron, you and the DILG, you're working so hard behind the scenes to do this awareness campaign. Tuloy-tuloy nyo lang yan. Sana madagdagan pa, and I hope you get the budget that you guys are looking for so that the work can continue kasi it's really valuable work. So yun lang. So thank you again, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mikel. And with that, let me thank our viewers. Thank you, Lawrence. Salamat. Lawrence. Thank you, Nelia Ortiz. Good night. Si Aquino Lorenzo. Next time daw, pag-usapan natin yung Bataan Nuclear Power Plant reopening plans. Solid yun, bro. Magawa na maayos yan. Attorney Mikoy, thank you for bashing Arsenal.
Well, we didn't lose 7-2, so I'm okay. You can
Shut
say
up.
what you want. You can say what you want.
Tapos, thank you to all the people from the other group for joining us. Steven Barte, thank you so much. Si Suzy Now, sabi niya dapat din talaga mababa ang singil ng kuryente at tubig sa Pinas para hindi natatakot yung mga investors lugi kasi. Diba? Totoo yan, ha? We have the highest electricity rates all over the world. Malaking deterrent rin yun for investment. Alright, so Suzy, si Lorenzo Aquino, si Mike Apolonio, is there still hope for these reforms? Until the fat lady sings, Mike. Laban pa rin. Nenen Boras, thank you so much for commenting. Bay Bangkale supports the 60-40. Erickson Diwa Obordo, kahit mga provincial hospital kailangan pa ng approval ng national government before magawa. That's so true. That's been a problem. And also, so medyo loko to eh. Yeah, thank you so much, Erickson. Si Lilith, Si Lilith Agad, salamat sa pag-komento. Fletch Duran. Si Dorb. Of course, our good friend, fellow futbolero, Cliff Rego de Dios, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Si Klaus Albacharin. Yon. Si Joy Eleazar, Barlita de la Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. And let me just say, loko to si ano, sabi ko mukha ko daw si ano, si Ralph Recto. Ayaw daw si Ralph Recto. Pero mas loko. Anyway, thank you guys. Oh, Mikel, sino kamukha mo nga, Mikel? Yun na tawag ko sa'yo.
Ian Veneracion.
Yun, Ian Veneracion, Mikel. Ian Veneracion, Paris. Salamat.
Dalawa lang naman yan. Ian Veneracion or Joko Diaz. Kahit sino doon sa dalawa, pwede tayo dyan.
si Gloria Santos watching from Japan. Salamat po sa pagkinig. Wag niyong kaligtaan suporta ng anti-ants dito sa Pilipinas. Si Mikel Paris po has been doing a good job and he's been supporting the frontliners by giving them all these very generous offers for their products. Tuloy pa rin yan, Mikel, no?
Well, no, for now, iba-iba pa nga. Basta we have a new promo every week na lang for everybody. We'll see.
Yun.
Kailangan. Thank you na lang sa everybody who's been supporting and thank you to my team for all the hard work.
Alexander Padbrada of Antipolo City, thank you for watching. And guys, don't forget the basic guidelines of the DOH and the disiplina. Bawal ang walang mask. I-sanitize ang mga kamay, iwasan ng maghawak ng mga kung anong mga bagay, distansya ng 1 metro at alamin ang totoong impormasyon. Bawal ang fake news, di ba, Eric?
Tama.
Bawal ang fake news, Eric. Hindi magta-top 4 ang Tottenham. At
Well, let's see. Pero hindi fake news yung 7-2
Yun, legit yun.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
Nakita ko yun eh.
Oo. Pinanood ko yung highlights eh.
Wala
So I with my own 2 eyes.
Good night, everyone. Ingat po kayo. Stay safe. Bye!